We're a little bit late. We're a little bit late, but that's okay because it's the red zone. It's about bringing the tools together from around the country, making sure that we're stronger together. Coming up for, hey, maybe some of you are on spring break right now. Maybe some of you are about to take spring break, whatever it might be. But it's acquiring that knowledge, bringing all those thoughts and ideas during the red zone. Josh Tovar, principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, ready to get going. So if you are still awake in the West Coast, East Coast, I don't know where you're at, but if you're in Alaska or you're in Hawaii, you're in Maine or Florida or anywhere in the 48 middle, we need you. Join us. If you're watching on the rebroadcast, share it. But most importantly, tell us how it's going and interact with us. What do you think about that, Dean?
Hey, happy Thursday night, Josh. Great job as always. We always have new fresh faces on the panel, and I'll tell you that makes me smile because I'll tell you what, it's a big country and there's a lot of voices that we want to make sure we hear from when it comes to celebrating and recognizing the great things going on in education. My name is Dean Packard. I'm the principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts, one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle, and we just have so much fun, Dr. Tovar, don't we? I just escalated you to Dr. Tovar, not Mr. Tovar. You're doctor now. And I'll tell you what, each time we have a session, we walk away with a few new nuggets of information that makes us a little bit better. So, guys, welcome to the table first and foremost. Why don't we go around quickly? Just introduce yourselves, where you're from, and the school you're at, and kind of what your title is. So, why don't we start with you, Abraham?
How's it going, everybody? My name is Abraham Rodriguez. I am from here in El Paso, Texas. I'm currently a library aide at Puentes Middle School, home of the Bobcats. Cat to come repping today, and my cat's over here. I'm excited. I actually am a former student, former pupil of Mr. Tovar, the principal at MPA out in Garland, Texas. He was my high school principal at Socorro, and I'm honored to be here, on the podcast with you guys.
Awesome. Great to have you. Arcella.
Hi, everyone. I am Marcella Austri, and I am coming from Charlotte, North Carolina. My school is Billingsville Cotswold Elementary. It is two campuses, but one school. I am on the K2 campus, and I am the MTSS Team Interventionist Team Lead. And so I've been there, and it's going amazing. Home of the Cougars.
I love MTSS specialists because they are so important. No doubt about it. Thank you so much. Over to Mr. Schoolhouse.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? What's going on? So my name is Dre, but most people call me Mr. Schoolhouse. I prefer to be called that name. I'm currently out here, as you guys can see, in Atlanta, Georgia. I am currently in school. I am in my undergrad to become a school psychologist, and I have a podcast called the Schoolhouse Podcast with this little logo right here, which is me, and it's centered around education and mental health. So that's a little bit about me.
Great stuff right there. We're going to work this backwards right now. And we're going to ask you, why did you enter education and who inspired you to get involved in doing what you do right now? And we're going to go backwards with this. Mr. Schoolhouse, you go first, please.
So a few reasons why I entered education. Back in 2015, my mother had passed away from stomach cancer, and I was kind of looking for a way to navigate through those dark times. And I was looking up motivational speakers, and I was seeing guys like Les Brown and Dr. Eric Thomas, and he was really heavy in motivating kids and inspiring kids. So I started doing that, volunteering at different like nonprofit organizations and boys and girls clubs and different schools. And I started to find my voice, and I said, this is something that I can really do. And I saw other educators that was really doing it. And I met my wife, and I saw her just go through nursing school, and she really pushed me. I said, you know what? I could really do this thing. I can really go back to school and get my education and make a difference. So that's what inspired me to get into the field of education.
Love that. And just if you could just talk in a very brief sense about your podcast and why you started doing that. And I apologize. I just want to hear just briefly.
Okay, no, not a problem. So one of the things I saw when the pandemic had happened, it was all over social media that educators were leaving the profession. I mean, it was like, wow, like I had a few teachers that really inspired me to become the man that I am today. So when I saw that, I wanted to do something about it. I wanted to be proactive. And so I said, why not start a podcast that's centered around education and providing an outlet for educators so they can, be able to be equipped and be motivated to continue to give, because like I always say, if your cup is not full, there's only so much that you can give until you burn out. So that's why I pretty much started brief, in the short
I
sense.
love it. No, I know we could go on forever. I love that. Great
Right.
job. I appreciate you doing that. It makes a difference for everybody. Arcella.
Wow, that was awesome, Mr. Schoolhouse. So I entered education. My third grade teacher, Mrs. Charlotte Bacon from Alcoa, Pennsylvania, where I'm from, she was a great teacher. She showed me how much she cared about me. And not only that, she cared about all the students. I remember we were going on a field trip to Washington, D.C., and I had just gotten my tonsils out and I wasn't going to be able to make it. And it was like some other things going on and, my family life and things like that. And she made a way for me to still make that trip. And that just was the point to me. It was like some other teacher would have been like, you know what, maybe next trip. But she took the time out to get everything together, make sure my mother had documents, whatever I needed, and the finances were there for me to make sure that I was able to make that trip. And that was third grade. And that was so long ago, but she impacted me so much where she showed me that as a teacher, I not only care about how much you learn, but I want to make sure you have life experiences so that you can grow as a person. And just that one little tidbit of thing that she did for me, it touched my heart. And from there on, I just loved kids. And I would always make sure that kids had whatever they needed. I was babysitting and just caring for them in that nurturing state that just took over me. It just went right into the realm of education where I just fell in love with the lead education and now leading from teaching from the classroom to outside the classroom.
Great stuff. Absolutely love that. Abraham.
Awesome. I love to hear the stories that everyone has. One thing for sure for me was one of my junior year teachers, Mr. Garcia. He was actually my dual credit history teacher. And wow, that man is one of the brightest people I've ever met in the world. Like that man he and I just had pure history conversations. And I always had a love for history. I always wanted, to see what I can do further as far as becoming a historian, whether it become things like restoration or anything like that. But when it came down to it, seeing just how much he cared, further out of, just history, me as a person and how to grow even further in life, that gave me the thought in my mind, like, hey, I can do the same thing he can do as well. You got me? And he even told me, like, no, Abraham, like, you're not gonna do the same thing I did. You're gonna do better than what I'm doing right now. So it was, for me, it's all thanks to Mr. Garcia. He's still teaching. I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and, it was definitely someone like him that inspired me to teach and why I want to be in education as well.
Great stuff.
Well, part of the idea of having today's show was opening up the different fields that are available in our beautiful field, the best field out there, the profession that creates all the other professions. So talk to the audience right now about what you're currently doing and specifically what it took to get to there. We have different stages here in our profession from all three guests right now. So let's start off with you, Arcelia. To get into your current role, what specifically do you do at your campus and what certification credentials do you need to reach that stage?
So currently I am an MTSS interventionist, and what that is, the multi-tiered system of support for students who are needing that academic support based on their MAP data, their DIBELS data. We see where they are. And so based on their tiered levels or their benchmarks, we provide specific interventions to help them to meet that grade level benchmark that's needed to go on to the next grade successfully. And to get there, I started out in the classroom. And so I had to go through my teacher certifications, and then I went on to get my master's degree in school administration. So having that with all of the background data and understanding what data is and understanding how to dig into the data and to read data, not only to just say, here are the scores, this is where they score, but understanding that a RIT score is where the kids need to go, understanding their rate of improvement and bringing all of those different components together to see, well, this child may be successful here and may need a little bit of support here to help them bridge the gap to get to where they need to be. And so it took for me to nothing specific in this specific area that I'm teaching MTSS. I did not need a specific certification. It was everything that I have throughout my my leadership training and my school admin training that I received some of those experiences in classes that helped support me in the role that I am today.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, Mr. Schoolhouse, you're looking for the long game. So what your vision is to be in public education. So talk to us right now, somebody that might have the same idea as you in the future. Where are you going? And to get there, what degree do you need? What certification do you need?
I've actually done quite a few research on this, but right now I'm striving to become a school psychologist. So first, I would have to get my bachelor's, and then after I get my bachelor's, I would have to go and get my master's. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the first year is coursework, and then I believe that second year is that practicum. Getting into that field. So from what I know, you have to go through those stages to become a school psych. And I know that some schools, I know they're moving away from this, but I can't think of the name of the exam off the top of my head. But I know it's a certain exam that you have to take to get into those programs. But there are also some schools are moving away from it, and they're just looking at your GPA, your personal statement, and other few things. Maybe clubs, organizations, things like that. They're more so looking at that versus just looking at the exam, that state exam that you have to take to get into the program.
Thank you for sharing that, Abraham.
So for me, it's, first and foremost, getting my degree. Currently, I'm a college student at the University of Texas, El Paso. So when I first started at UTEP, I remember talking with my advisor at the time, and I had told her, look, I want to become a teacher. Like, I already enrolled in the education program. This is what I want to do. I want to be at the secondary level, which is, obviously middle school through high school, all throughout there. So she advised me, hey, you know what? Like, why don't you try getting your degree, your major in that specific subject that you want to teach? And from there, I never looked back, honestly. So that's one of the first steps. And then obviously, the next step becoming an educator is doing your internship. I know Texas has, a plethora of options as the way to get it, especially here in El Paso now. I know most of the districts here in El Paso are offering the residency. I think there's a couple of districts that offer that at the moment. And then there's also the Region 19 internship that we have. So that'll be part of the process as well. And then from there, it's the job hunt. It's the hunt we all strive to do. It's the hunt we all went through at the first time becoming a teacher. Just waiting for that one person to just say, you know what, come to my school and we'll do this.
I'm impressed because I don't think we've ever had a college student on before, Josh, and out of the 500, 600 episodes that we've had. So congratulations with that, Abraham. And I love your passion there. And you know what I see? I see a little Josh Tovar in the making right there. I see a little me in that. The smile that it gives it away. So don't lose your pathway. Hey guys, thinking about this for a second, we all have this thing inside of us that either someone or something drove us to become who we are. What would that be for you specifically? And kind of what does that look like? And Abraham, we're going to work backwards with you first. Don't even tell me it was Mr. Tovar, because if you dropped that bomb right now,
he had a little tidbit to do with it. I'm not gonna lie, but honestly, coming out of high school, I had the mentality of, okay, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna get it done, and that was it. But then I started working at Puentes, and I never thought kids could be so motivating, like ever in my life. You get me? Until I actually started working in education. It's actually a little bit of an anecdote I'll add to this. I won Employee of the Month a couple of times. And some of the kids, like, they show PowerPoint on our announcements and everything. Like, some of the kids, like our 6th grade kids, 7th grade middle schoolers, they come up to me and they're like, Mr. Rodriguez, like, I hope you're my teacher one day. Like, I don't care where I'm at. Like, I just want you to be my teacher. And I was like, okay, that's it. Like, that's why I'm doing this now, like, for these kids, you get me? So if there's definitely someone that drives me more, or some bodies that drive me more, it's definitely the kids I work with. I would move mountains for a lot of these kids if I can.
No, don't lose that, because that is the number one thing that most successful people in this business have, that passion for kids. Mr. Schoolhouse.
So I just want to make sure I get the question right. Is What drives you?
What drove you? What has driven you? Yes, to get where you are today. What is that internal flame? What is that process within you that has gotten you to where you're at?
Um, I can honestly say, it's definitely the kids for sure and educators, because I feel like education has changed my life. I mean, to be completely transparent, I was one of those students and I still have a learning disability. And so I went through a lot of traumatic experiences in education, but it was those teachers that didn't, judge me or made me feel uncomfortable, but they made me feel comfortable in my disability and knowing that, okay, you have this disability and you can still become successful. You can still, really do it, And so I think for me, it's definitely the educators and it's definitely the students that are feeling hopeless and that are going through those traumatic experiences. So I want to be able to provide, therapy, and all sorts of things. But pretty much that's that's what drives me. That's what motivates me to keep pushing.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Arcella.
Oh wow. There's so many. Like there's each component, the parent component, the student component, the teacher component. They all have driven me to go and push to be where I am today. I can think specifically about the teachers when I'm walking through the hallways and I get phone calls from teachers who I used to work with previously. They're calling me, asking for input, what do you think about this? Or can you support me with this? Or this is coming up in my lesson, or can you step into my classroom? This is what my child is doing. How am I supposed to do this? Or what am I supposed to say to the parents? So when the teachers are looking to me for information, it just makes me feel like even more of a reason why I need to get into that leadership position, so that when I can be a part of the decision-making process in the school, where I can have my hands in all of those classrooms. Right now I am in a certain area and my role has me in a certain place where I can't be in all those places. When the teachers are stopping me, I can only give them but so much. But I know when I get to that leadership position, where that will be my main goal, coaching teachers, and I can be in those classrooms and supporting them and speaking to parents, and high-fiving and pushing those kids along the way. So all of those, each person in the community, the school community, has driven me to be where I am and to continue to push me to get to there.
And be that administrator with a background in interventions. So I'll tell you, that is a huge plus, understanding how all those tiered interventions work. So great job. Love it.
Thank you.
So based on our conversations that we've had individually and through our connections since we hooked up on social media or different parts of our lives, we have a future administrator here, school psychologist, football coach, history teacher. Once you reach that position, and let's just take the next level, right? I know we could go to a principal, we could go to the doctor, we could go to whatever, superintendent, whatever it might be, right? But our next stage, what do you wish or what do you want to bring to your kids, to your community in that role, Arcella, as an administrator?
I want to bring empowerment. Not only empowerment to the students, but the parents, to let them know that we as a school, we're a community and nothing can be done without each other. And so as that leader, that school community person, I want to go beyond that and get out into the community where parents feel that their voices aren't heard or they're not important, or those kids who just feel that I'm in the school and you know how kids say, what they say about teachers in schools, nobody loves them, nobody cares. But to give those students a better understanding, and even if it meant, I love how you all get on the announcements every morning, they hear your voices, to make sure they hear that positive voice every morning, just pushing them and encouraging them. And that's just where I see myself, just not only just in the school over that PA system, but in the community, wherever they are, in the parks, at the games, at the supermarkets, wherever I see them. I want to be that voice of encouragement and empowerment to ensure that every child is successful and every voice is heard, and because we all need one another.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's awesome. Awesome. Dr. Schoolhouse, what do you want to bring to?
I like that. But no, that was a really good question. Honestly, what I'm looking to bring to this profession is I'm a huge advocate for social emotional learning, right? So I seek therapy on my own in my own personal life. And I just believe that if teachers, educators, students, parents, like if they're knowledgeable about mental health, like holistic education, then they're going to do well academically. They're going to do well in the classroom because they feel supported emotionally. So I personally feel like supporting them emotionally and providing that those mental health services is going to be a byproduct of them doing well, and not just like in the schools but in the communities, reaching out to nonprofit organizations, providing these resources so that they can be the best that they can be, not just scholars but educators and the parents, and just know that I'm right there by their side. And if I can't get the job done, then maybe I know somebody else that can provide that outside resource to provide those uh, therapeutic services for them.
Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Coach, history teacher, Abraham.
Well, definitely. I mean, when you look at it, the vision for me, like towards becoming a history teacher, is making sure these kids see beyond in history. I remember talking to my principal a couple months ago, and we talked like history is such this big, broad story in our world that there is just so much we can go over, and we can just talk. You got me in a classroom, but due to obvious time constraints, we got to go over certain things. I want to be able to expand the world of history, for these kids, and, make them think like, dang, like, are we living in that world today as well? Or how can we better it? How do we not repeat certain bad things in history? How can we repeat the good things in history? Things like that. Like Mr. Tovar mentioned, I do want to be a football coach. One of the visions I have is, obviously, just like any other coach would say, the winning. But for me, that doesn't come first. I think for me, it's, building those relationships, not only with, the players, the parents, community members, everyone that is out there, whatever community I'm at. It's building those relationships and making sure that we're all in on one goal when it comes down to that.
Well, relationships matter. They come before anything else that we do in this field. So stay focused on that, because that's going to lead you to a lot of good places. The question I have for you guys is, each of you or each of us in education have a story or an event that we either lived or we saw that made us who we realized that we wanted to be in education. What does that look like through your eyes? And Abraham, let's go backwards here. Start with you.
Ooh, I got a lot of them, honestly, but I think one that certainly stands out to me for sure was, it actually just happened a couple weeks ago too. So one of the duties I have with my library aide position is I also work with interventions with our at-risk kids. And I was working with a group the other day. We were doing some small group, and we had some district personnel at our campus. And you know what? I mean, sometimes even for us, it could be nerve-wracking. When you have district personnel observing, but it's that type of thing where the kids just wowed me. Like, they literally acted like no one was around. Everything, we just acted normal and everything, did our thing. And they were like, Mr. Rodriguez, like, do I do it right? Do we do this? Like, things like that. And being able to help them out and lead them through the process of certain things. It was a math class, of course. And it was like, whoa, like, I can actually do this. You get me? And then to go into the hallway and see some of the people that came in, and them to tell me, like, hey, you did an awesome job. Like, that's when I knew, okay, I actually knew it in my head, like, this is what I want to do. But hearing it from people like that, when they're elevated up here at a certain level in the tiers of education, that's when you're like, okay, I can do this for sure. Like, now I have, the eyes of other people, important people out there that, approved of what I did. So that's made me excited even more to go out in the education field.
Love that. Mr. Schoolhouse.
Yeah. Can you ask that question again?
Yeah, absolutely. All of us in education have a story or an event that we either lived or we saw that made us realize who we wanted to be in education. So what would your story or event that helped shape you to become who you are today, or where you're looking to go today?
I could say the story that kind of shaped me. I would think about this specific educator. His name was Ray. And I remember at the time where I honestly didn't have any purpose of pursuing an education. I didn't honestly, I didn't even think I was gonna graduate high school, to be honest. And I remember just getting vulnerable with him about some of the struggles that I was dealing with academically in math. I was going to get held back if I didn't pass this state exam that we had to take. And I remember him, and mind you, he was on summer break. He was on summer break. He wasn't doing summer school, so he would volunteer his time, and it would take him about 2 hours to get to me, and he would sit down with me and show me how to do math. And I got it. Just within that summer, I had passed the exam, and I think that's a story that still resonates with me to this day. You know, because that meant so much to me, because I've had so many teachers that really wasn't. I didn't have the best experience with, but that right there was like, that was a game changer. I said, oh yeah, he really cares. He really cares for sure. He's really showing up. He's not even getting paid for this. So I was like, yeah, definitely. I could see myself doing something like that.
Nice. Arcella.
The story that I have is the story that I hear each person, Abraham and Mr. Schoolhouse, sharing, is the stories of students talking about their teachers or who helped shape them. I had a student reach out to me. Now, I've been teaching quite a many years. I just put it, my oldest daughter is 25 plus. And so I've been teaching for quite some time. And so this student reached out to me when I first started teaching, and he was like, "Are you the same Mrs.?" And I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Who are you?" And then we shared a story, and, you know, I was like, "Oh yes." And he shared something that we used to do in math. We would sing songs, and he learned how to count from some song, and some kind of motivational song that I sang to them. And he remembered and said every word verbatim through Facebook Messenger. And I was like, whoa. And he was like, "Thank you." And I was like, whoa. So it's like that impact that I'm having on people without, I'm not looking to do anything or to have me. I'm not looking to be a story for a child. It's something that I'm doing, and it occurs naturally. And so that's what's pushing me. If I can do that for one child, how many other children have I done that for? And if I'm helping a child to do better, that's what I want to continue to do. I don't need to know that I'm doing it, but just by hearing that story from that one student who reached out to me, I'm like, if I reached him, how many other kids did I reach? And so because of that one spark, it's like, okay, I don't know who I'm touching, but I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, because apparently I did something good back then. And so I'm just going to continue doing what I do naturally to get that.
Very
So let's
nice.
kick it up a notch here. So let's take Dr. Schoolhouse, Assistant Principal Austri, Coach Rodriguez. All right, two-part question. Coach Rodriguez, where are you in 5 years?
In 5 years, I hope to definitely be teaching history for sure, and coaching as well. Definitely. We'll see where the wind takes me. Who knows? Maybe I'll be in Garland over there with you.
Yeah. Assistant Principal Austri.
I would definitely be leading a school as a principal for some time. I would definitely be leading the school as a principal.
Dr. Schoolhouse, where will you be, sir?
So many plans, but God's willing, I will be a school psychologist, and I hope to maybe have character animations, so like cartoons that teach kids and teachers about SEL.
Awesome,
You
love it.
guys all have great stories, and you all have great things about you that are making you and shaping you who you're going to become. And I love to hear all this stuff. So what advice would you give to someone who's a freshman in college now and wants to enter the field of education? And let's start with Mr. Schoolhouse first.
Man, if I could say anything, I would say volunteer at an after school program, or see if you can become a substitute and get in there and see if it's something that you really want to do, because it's a lot of serving, a lot of giving. So I say that real life experience will determine, like, okay, if there's something you really want to do or not.
Arcella.
I would definitely say you need to serve and give away your gift. If you feel education is your calling, then you need to go and do it for free. And if, whatever that means, volunteering, working with kids to see how you impact those lives. And the reciprocation that you get from working with kids. So just if it's your heart, it'll come naturally.
Abraham.
I want to backtrack to what Mr. Schoolhouse said. Definitely make as many connections as you could possibly make in education. Being a college freshman, obviously, you're fresh out of high school, email as many people as you possibly can, things like that, get a phone call with someone, anything you can volunteer your time to do, whether it be coaching, a volunteer league or something like that. You just never know who is going to be around. That's definitely one thing I could recommend, is make as many connections as you can make, whether it even be at the college as well. I mean, we're all teachers in our own way, whether it be college, high school, middle school, elementary, even to the primary schools. We're all teachers. So any way you can make a connection, definitely do it.
Network. And if I didn't say it, network, because this world's a big place and you never know what doorway is going to be open for you. Okay. And that just comes from hard work, keeping your nose to the grindstone, being aware of others, and don't put yourself first. Make sure you put others first, but just be that person, lead by example, and great things will always happen to you. Josh, I don't know what to say. I think these guys have it all.
They did a great job. Hey, if someone in Iowa wants to hook up with you and connect with you and create those PLNs that you're talking about, Abraham, where can they reach you and get a hold of you?
Appreciate that. I would love to.
Where? Tell them where.
Say that again.
Where can they reach you and connect with you?
Definitely, they can reach me, connect with me on Twitter, Facebook, anything like that. I'll have all that information. My Twitter is at A capitalized, the R is capitalized as well. It'll be ARod_PMS.
Dr. Schoolhouse?
Mr. Schoolhouse on all platforms. You can find me at Mr. Schoolhouse.
Assistant Principal Austri?
I am Arcella Austri on all platforms as well.
Awesome. Great job, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. Educators continuing their education. Other great topics are coming up here on the Red Zone. Make sure that you follow us. We've got school board members talking to us. We got state football championship coaches from 5 states joining us. We've got special ed joining us, all in the Red Zone, specific niche topics that need to be enhanced to get those nuggets out there. But this Sunday, Dean, the flagship show, 7 p.m., Debbie Tannenbaum will be joining us, author, speaker. So join us this coming Sunday.
Always fun time. You know that, guys. Hey, thank you guys very much for your time. Wish you very well the rest of the week. Enjoy your Friday. More importantly, continue just being you, because you are all difference makers. Mr. Tovar, lights out, baby. Have a great Thursday night, everybody. And finish off the week strong. Remember, kids deserve the best you that you can bring to them.